Welcome to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Ain't another place that has got more bombast. Romp past your mom, dads, listening to Tomcats, talking everything that make you sad. We don't want that. We're here to make you smile. Put your mind at ease. Peace, love, and bloom, and always praise Keanu Reeves. This what we about. This some weeding now. We'll talk until we can't no more, and then we peacing out. Alright, let's go. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. It's the Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Penny Bloom Podcast. Hello, everybody, and welcome in to the Penny Bloom Podcast. Today, we continue our director spotlight and top off Wes Anderson. 11 films in the filmography. Today we cover the 11th, his newest, Asteroid City. Limited released June 16th, 2023. Wide release June 23rd, 2023. Written by Wes Anderson and Roman Coppola. Directed by Wes Anderson. I am Colton Robertson, and I am joined by Joseph George. What's up, homie?
Oh, what up, what up? Always a pleasure to be here, and we made it. We're here.
We made it. We did. And the payoff was immense. Let's start this mostly spoiler free. Because this is the first time we're talking about a brand new movie, you know? This
is true.
This got a wide release a few days ago. You know, this isn't one that's been out for years that we're like, if you've seen it, you've seen it. If you haven't, you haven't. You know, like no, this is brand new, and we hope you will see it. We do. Me and Joe just had the pleasure yesterday of taking the old ladies on a double date out to see Asteroid City, and what a movie! What a movie! Like I was going into it high expectations. You know, we're 10 Wes Anderson movies behind us in recent weeks. The last 5 weeks we've covered Wes Anderson movies 2 times a week. 10 movies, 5 weeks. It's all building up to this, and right before I went in there, I was like, God, do I tamper expectations a bit? You know, like, where should my head be at? And I was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm excited. I'm very excited. I think it's going to be good. My expectations were met. You know, I thought that that Asteroid City was an extremely good movie. And, I'm very happy coming out the other side. What are your instant thoughts?
I mean, I was in the same place. You know, we're watching everything Wes has ever come out with, and it seems that his craft has been getting better and better over time. He knows the movies he wants to make more and more as time, you know, goes on, and I think that still holds true. I think there's aspects of all of his movies in this one, like, and that was the same with like French Dispatch. I remember saying that there's just so, like, it seems that he's been maybe not working towards this, you know, maybe like he's not like been waiting to release Asteroid City or something like that. No. Like, that's not what I mean, but like you can tell that he's just learned a lot through making movies, and like whether this has been his vision the whole time, I don't know, but like finally we've gotten to a place where it seems that this is straight from his brain almost. Yeah. I don't know. This was very, very clearly him, and yeah, I loved it. Like, they're just the use of stop motion a little bit in there was really cool.
little puppetry. A little puppetry was cool. Yeah, no, it's if you like Wes Anderson, you'll like this movie. You know, like I can't imagine you won't. Especially if you like French Dispatch. There's a connection and something I've noticed online in the recent days where if you liked French Dispatch, you'll almost certainly like anything Wes Anderson does.
True. I feel like French Dispatch was probably his most polarizing film.
Certainly was.
Maybe Asteroid City is now. I don't know. I'll have to see what time does with it. But
yeah, it'll be interesting. But like a lot of the little reviews I saw was like, that's 2 misses in a row. You know, there are people, and not a lot. That's a minority opinion, I think. But there are people who think that. There are people who think French Dispatch followed by Asteroid City, even preceded by Isle of Dogs. It's a cold run. Like he's on a streak of weaker movies, and they want him to get back to Rushmore, Royal Tenenbaums, Darjeeling sort of vibes. And, I think those movies had their place, and I absolutely adore them, but he's evolving as a filmmaker, and he's making the movies he wants to make, and at what point do you just go, like, the best thing you can do with the West movie is let go and just let it happen.
Yeah.
Totally. Because this one, I was just sitting in the theater with a giant fucking smile on my face for most of it. Just because it's truly funny. It had the comedy of Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaums and stuff like that. Like, when those moments were funny, they were fucking funny. Like, Asteroid City had some good ass comedy, but it in classic West fashion, it does the thing where it sneaks up on you, and at the end you're kind of like, wow, this was a lot more hard hitting than I'd anticipated it to be. You're introduced to characters with tragedy, and you watch them cope with it. Very, very Wes Anderson. Like, it had all the bones of your typical Wes Anderson film, and he always manages to take all those things and make something new, which is bizarre. I don't know how you can remix the stuff he does every single time, but like, he does it, and it's impeccably well done.
Yeah, I remember after we were walking out of the theater, and just kind of, I had to pee so bad, so that was like kind of the only thing on my mind initially was right after the movie. But then after that was all done, walking back out and hearing like kind of the chatter that was going around, people talking about it like out there. There was this like group of older people, like, I mean, like, I don't know, maybe 60s, 70s, if I had to guess. And they were like, that was funny. Like, they were like, that was really, really funny. And like, they had a lot of old timey humor in there. I guess it's set in the 50s,
and it's also like kind of a riff on 1950s B movies, like War of the Worlds type shit,
Which I guess I haven't really seen a lot of those movies, so I don't like. Right. I guess I get the kind of general idea, and like, I got that it was sort of like a parody or riff or whatever you want to call that. But like, I mean, I still found it hilarious. Like, it was so enjoyable. And that's like, I can't like go back to the Royal Tenenbaums. Like, I don't know if like people want them to go back to like the comedy and like that's what they want out of those movies, or if it's just because those movies are a little simpler to understand on first watch. I think
they're like, also they're just simpler overall. Like one of the things that I noticed in recent days in my anticipation of the film, I wasn't shying away from like reading reviews and stuff because the earliest reviews I saw was like, there's no real way to spoil Asteroid City, and
I agree with that now. Yeah.
I don't really think there is. Like, we could, like, the only way I could talk about is like the emotional payoff at the very, very end.
True.
And that I can avoid talking about. But something that I saw was that people want him to get back to making movies about one character instead of like giving everyone in the cast a story that pays off. And I think that we explore characters like Max Fisher and Rushmore and Royal Tenenbaum and 𝘼𝙬𝗎𝙏 a lot more singularly than we probably do 𝘾𝙬𝗎𝙏𝙀𝙏. But I don't think that's a detriment to Asteroid City. I think it's, and also like, I saw that critique and I was like, well, then what were you getting out of Bill Murray and Rushmore and, I don't know, Luke Wilson, Owen Wilson, Gwyneth Paltrow, Angelica Houston, all these characters in Royal Tenenbaums? I'm like, these movies have always kind of been about more than one person.
Yeah, it's like kind of his strength is that no matter who you see on screen, no matter how small of a character they are, like, most of their details, if not like a shit ton of them, are thought out. And like, it's like a character that you wouldn't even think about in another movie is like, has a whole backstory to them, or like, their personality, or so, like, I don't know. I think that's only a strength to it. Like, especially in this movie where the cast is so stacked and like, you just have so much talent on this movie, and just allowing people just to go and like just act. And I think the format of this movie, without getting into that, like, helps with that. Like, it just being about acting a little bit, already is like kind of like, there's this meta like
there's this play within a play.
Yeah, and
almost like a documentary play production. That's like, so for those who haven't seen it, it would help to kind of set this up, just get it clear in your head, at least as I understand it. Because I do have some grappling to do with it as far as what the structure actually means to the characters in the film. There's a black and white portion that's probably about 30% of the movie. And it starts in that format with Bryan Cranston narrating for you, kind of explaining what's going on. And what he says is that it's a dramatized version of the real events that created the play Asteroid City. So in black and white, they're doing a play about making the play that you see in color. And there's act breaks. It's like Act 1, scenes 1 through 3, Act 1, scenes 4 through 8, or whatever the fuck. And they do that throughout the film all the way up until Act 3, when it just says Act 3, no interruptions. It just runs all the way through, because you need that to play all the way through, back to back to back to back. But
I saw some people in some reviews saying that the black and white cuts were taken away from the movie, and they were like, I wish I could have just stayed in Asteroid City the whole time. And I was
the biggest emotional payoff is in black and white.
I know. So I feel like I really do think that people are like, because I kind of thought the same thing. I thought the whole movie was going to be like in Asteroid City. Like, I didn't have any clue of the production side or the black and white parts. And like, so I went in thinking like, oh, we're going to get a really colorful, like, alien story, whatever.
Yeah, when it kicked off in black and white, you're like, oh, I had no idea what we were about to get into.
Oh, okay. Yeah, very interesting. But I don't think it took away. It was like, it was very, I love the format. Like, I really like the jumping back and forth and kind of like, it keeps you on your toes more. And then like for Act 3, it like, when it being like to be played relentlessly without stop or whatever, you're kind of like, I don't know, it kind of,
and they still seamlessly tie the black and white together with the color. So like, it's an I can't wait to see this movie a second time, and I will. This is going to be the first movie of 2023 where I will repeatedly visit the theater to see this movie. I might go a couple more times this week, even. Like that's kind of where I'm at, and I absolutely adored it. So let's do a little bit of just a spoiler-free review of the film itself instead of sort of the ideas surrounding the film. I thought that the color palette of this film is immaculate, and that's something you can pick up from the trailer. And it's something that Wes Anderson is always heralded for, and everyone's always like, oh, he's got such an interesting vibe, but he's always managed to switch it up. And this doesn't look like any of his films before, and it still fits what you expect of Wes Anderson, which is, again, him doing his thing, but somehow always changing it enough to make it fresh and make it new, which I will always appreciate. And I thought this movie did incredible at that. It does play with that, like, its best comparison truly is the French Dispatch in terms of formatting. That sort of like, here's part of the story, we're going to cut to this part of the story, here's part of the story, we're going to cut back to this. It's this back and forth sort of structure that I think Wes Anderson has a really good grasp on, and he does a very good job handling. It's never jarring, it's never confusing, it always feels like it comes at the right spot. The performances are incredible. Jason Schwartzman and Scarlett Johansson shine.
Oh, yeah, dude. Yeah, that was, it was just all around, everything was firing. Like all my Wes, everything I love about Wes was going off, like the color palette, the shots are just beautiful. So like, it's an enjoyable movie if you literally are like, if you don't even listen to a word and you don't even hear anything, it's good enough just visually.
Just to look at,
It is that satisfying. And then, like, also getting, I'm still trying to, like, piece together this back and forth, and if I have it completely correct or not. But regardless if I have it correct or not, I think that's the point of what he's trying to do. He is trying to get you to think and to just talk.
Yeah,
like
he doesn't,
everyone,
he doesn't want it to be obvious.
Yeah, I feel like everyone could get something else, like something different out of this movie. There's some bigger points that he's trying to make with the back and forth and stuff like that. But then just in the story of Asteroid City itself, there's a lot of like smaller theme points that are hit on, like just through characters and stuff like that, which is, I don't know, just really, it was a really dynamic movie, having the jump back and forth, and then, you know, just like having just so many credible actors in every single part of the movie. Like,
Dude.
It's insane how every single like scene has just someone huge. Like, I don't know, like it's just, I'm trying to think of a scene, maybe it's just the kids. Like when it's just the kids in their tent, where there's not anyone that is prominently like huge in Hollywood.
Right.
But I mean, everyone was acting their ass off, and
the kids fired on all cylinders too, man. That's what,
like, I don't want to say they were bad. Yeah, they weren't.
No, yeah, by any means. And that's one of the cool things about the first timers here. You know, because Wes Anderson, he loves to dip his toe back into the bag for the people he's worked with before. For example, Bryan Cranston. I know he's worked with Bryan Cranston in an animated film, but Bryan Cranston has never appeared in live action in a Wes Anderson movie, which is a different vibe. You know, like, and I thought he played that role to perfection. Just the host of this television show, the kid who played Dinah, Grace Edwards, she was incredible. Scarlett Johansson, as a first time Wes Anderson appearance, she got all the Wes Anderson vibes perfectly. She captured that shit on the dot. This might be my favorite thing I've ever seen Scarlett Johansson do.
It just gave everyone a chance to shine, and I think that's like whenever people were like wanting to go back to the single character stories and like, or more single character focused stories. Like, I'm like, what are you watching here? Like, are we watching the same movie here where we just get a chance to see everyone go crazy in their role? Like, there's a time for everyone in this movie, it seems. You know, like, I think
that's part of the point of this movie. You know, like, it's about people, you know, like it's not literally about any one person. It's about humans and their experience with life, you know, like, the things they go through, how they deal with trauma, such as an alien coming down from space and seeing them for a second and being like, oh, or your wife dying and you having to tell your kids and all this stuff. Like, it's about how you deal with the things that happened in your life and how you push forward after that. And I mean, that's kind of what every Wes Anderson movie is about. You know, you think to the Grand Budapest Hotel with 𝗔හි𝗱𝗏𝗿𝘀 Mustafa. You know, how do you reckon with the loss of a generation past, the loss of your country, the loss of, you know, your love and your child. You know, like, how do you go forward? And he's like, I just do. You know, like that's the French Dispatch. The last line in the movie that you actually hear after Arthur Howitzer has passed is, what comes next?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, how do we go forward? And that's kind of what this entire movie deals with. And that's why you'll never catch me being like, this one just didn't hit for me. You know, like it did. It absolutely did. And, I mean, like I said, I'll be heading back to the theater multiple times to see this one.
Yeah, it's only gonna get more, like, as the movie gets clearer and clearer, and like, because there will be things that I guarantee that'll happen way earlier in the movie that we thought nothing of, that are going, you know, that'll obviously show, and so some foreshadowing or something of the sort. I don't know. Like, one example, I couldn't really pull anything off there right now. Like, I was trying to notice like things like that, like in this first watch, but I was just kind of blown away while watching.
There's one that I really enjoyed. And it was one that I was like, oh, well, that's going to come around. As soon as someone said it, it's like, well, that's obviously going to come back around. It's when they're in black and white, and it's Adrian Brody's character talking to his wife, his soon to be ex-wife, you know, the whole like, I thought these were divorce papers. And he's like, well, they're not yet. They might be eventually, you know, like, whenever she's like, all right, my thoughts are, you should, at the end of Act 3, Scene 5. Have Midge Campbell shut the door and then deliver her line. And then seeing that later on in the film, it was in a powerful moment. Was just like, oh shit, yeah, like it's a cool little pull through that I appreciate him being able to, tell you what he's gonna do without telling you what he's gonna do, which is, he's like, you don't know the scene yet, you don't know what's happening, you just know that at some point she'll shut the door and then deliver her line, and that's cool. That's cool shit, man. And it was a powerful movie, and the more I think about it, the better it gets.
It just hit me, and maybe I'm thinking too deep into this, but I think it's kind of, I don't know, it's what he's sort of getting at with this whole meta play within a play thing. So obviously, what we're seeing in Asteroid City, full color, that's like full production, the play's on, but the black and white, it is a dramatized version of the making of the play.
Yes.
Right, of the true events of the making of the play.
Right.
So, wouldn't that have to happen after the play? Like, after the play has been finalized and, or is that even a concept that matters in this, movie at all? Like, is the timeline of the creation of these things even
I don't think so. Mostly because that part is the most confusing of it, is how. So, for example, let's get into some more spoilery territory in terms of.
I was trying to tiptoe around without.
No, it's we're there. We're going to talk about it.
Okay.
So if you don't give a shit, you can stay. If you don't want to know specific details from Asteroid City, you can leave. I suggest you to go ahead and stay. It might be helpful to try and wrap your head around, something to think about. But regardless, so when it comes to 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙏𝙀𝙀, the character in Asteroid City, being played by an actor, in black and white, that actor, he went through this because he's in Asteroid City. So what's really interesting is that there's that point where him and Ed Norton, he walks into his cabin and is like they have a very strong vibe from the very get go. And by the end of the scene they kiss. And I was like, fuck yeah. Because not to mention there was a bunch of gay trailers, and I was like, we're gonna get something gay in this movie, hell yeah. That was there was a bunch of I can't remember, the Darlings one with Pedro Pascal and Coleman Domingo and all those guys coming out in September, but they kiss, and then later on in the movie they reveal Ed Norton's character died. But did Ed Norton die? Or did the guy that Ed Norton is playing die?
Oh, I didn't think about that.
Right, that's the thing. So, and yeah. I don't think it matters. Here, because I think there's kind of a universality to the message that Wes is kind of presenting to us, where, I'm trying my best to connect it specifically to 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙀𝙀 and the I can't remember the actor alternative name that he had. But regardless, it's saying that while these exact events might not have happened to Augie, we all have shit like this. We all have something we can draw on to be like, why am I still sad? Why do I feel this way about this? Why am I still sad about it? Why am I not sad enough about it? How should I be feeling? Why do I feel this way? I still don't get it.
Yeah.
As he puts it, I still don't get it.
Yeah. And he's talking about his life, he's talking about I don't get it, my life or whatever. But then he's also kind of questioning the role he's playing. I don't get the story. Where is it going? I don't get what I'm doing. Am I doing it right? How am I even supposed to know I'm doing it right? Sort of thing. And I think that's also Wes kind of putting himself into the movie, being I have all these stories. I have all these characters, and you can ask all these questions and whatever, but if you just play the part, it will all work out eventually. You know, like if everyone plays their part in this play, it'll all come to fruition, and everything will make sense eventually. But when you stop and ask questions during the meantime or whatever, like that can just foil it up and ruin the magic of the movie. Or I don't know. Like I wonder if that's like.
No, I think you're onto something there, and I think it connects mostly to the most confusing part of the movie on first watch. You know, you can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. You can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. You can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. That series of events, I was sitting there watching it, I was like, Emily's not going to be able to fucking sleep tonight.
Yeah,
because that took such a staunchly, like, almost scary turn.
Yeah. And like they were like that workshop or like whatever that was. They were trying, like, it was Ed Norton trying to find. He wanted to write a scene in which everyone had this shared experience while they were asleep. Right? That was like the main goal of it at the beginning. Whenever he would like had everyone in the room, or was it just to test, like to cast people, like to see if everyone was like just to grab actors? But I thought I remember at the very beginning when they got into that room, he was like, I'm trying to write a scene, and I want everyone to be asleep and have like this shared experience through it or something like that.
Yeah.
And then, but then they jump away, they go away from it for a while, and like a lot, like some other stuff.
It seemed like that first time, it just seems like a throwaway comedic scene.
Yeah. And then, like, I'm trying to think
they come back around to it whenever they reveal that Ed Norton died, which is why I don't think it is literally in whatever world they are a television production. I think it was a way to present to us what happened. You know, like, it happened to these people. It happened to these actors. But the way that Wes Anderson has decided to tell us that story is through his own little dramatized television program of it. You know, because Bryan Cranston talks directly to us.
Mm-hmm. And then whenever he shows up, like,
he's like, wait, I'm not in this part.
I'm not supposed to be here or whatever. Okay. So I didn't think about the TV production side of it.
Yeah,
really.
I don't think it's literally like wherever Asteroid City's story is being told, this is being put on the air there. No, I think this is literally to present to us the events that happened to these people. Like, you know, like, I'd even be willing, like, now getting real into it. Like, these actors didn't act out this black and white part. You know, like, it's just a retelling of what happened to them in this dramatized fashion. You know, it's not like it's a weird concept to wrap your mind around, but I do think it's just a choice made to tell us a story of what happened to the people behind the scenes. Whereas, you know, because I think that payoff at the end when, you know, the character Augie has had to tell his kids, you know, your mom died 3 weeks ago. He's still reckoning with it. He doesn't know how to present the information. He's like, there's a bit in that Jason Schwartzman article I sent you where he said he's like shocked into stiffness. Like, he can't react. He doesn't know how to move his face. He doesn't know how to, he doesn't know how to do anything. He has the same face the entire fucking movie. If it's in color, if it's in Asteroid City. And then whenever he gets to that part where he is talking to Adrian Brody at the end, after he's gone, you know, I still don't get it. You know, am I doing this right? What should I be doing? All these things, whenever it gets relayed back, he's like, you just got to keep going, man. You just got to keep trying. You know, you're doing a good job.
Yeah.
And you might not feel like it. There's no right way to feel about it. You know, you just keep going. It's because that actor is reckoning with the loss of his
Yeah.
partner, Ed Norton. Or like, like, like that's,
Okay. That makes okay. Yeah, because he was like asking if he was playing the part well, but then also he was like even if it hurts me more or something. I remember there was a line something like that. Like even if like, or maybe he was like, do I use my real grief or something like that? And like, even if it hurts me more, do I still do it? And he was like, yeah, no, keep going. He's like, or I forgot what they were saying in particular, but I felt like it was something.
No, there's a moment wherever he's like, I come out here every night. I don't even get it. I don't even get what we're doing, and it's destroying me. Like I don't feel
yeah.
I don't feel good. I'm and I don't know why, which is just a really accurate depiction of depression. Also, like I feel this way, and I should be happy. I should be happy to just trot out there and do whatever the fuck I'm doing, but I can't. Like I every time I'm just like, oh my god, I'm a wreck. And so yeah, he's basically just being like, do I keep going even though this is making me sad? And Adrian Brody essentially tells him, hey man, if you're sad, basically if you're sad, that means you're alive.
Yeah.
He's like, if you're sad, that means you are experiencing life as it is.
I think that's what the you have to fall asleep before you can wake up thing is trying to get to, is that like you can't have happiness unless you also feel sad as well. If you never feel sad, you never know how bad it can get, so you don't know how good it can get. Or if you need kind of both ways. And maybe that's what they're trying to get at there. Yeah, like I don't know. Have to fall. What do you remember the line?
You can't wake up if you don't go to sleep.
If you don't go to sleep. And it
you
was
can't
like,
wake up if you don't go to sleep.
And like, what was was something happening before, or like I swear it was just out of nowhere, bam, switch, like just focus spotlight on each person. They said it, and then like I forgot like what was happening right before, or was it literally that were like Ed Norton?
That was the sleep part, because it changes angles. We saw that part of the production play earlier in the movie when he's like, all right, I'm trying to write this scene where they have this sort of, this dreamscape. How do you write a compelling scene where your characters are asleep? How do you do that? How would you wake up? Maybe you wake up hungover. Maybe you wake up like this. Maybe you wake up like that. But they're not spending any time on what. There's a whole part of that you're not exploring. When you do fall asleep. What you can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. And it's a hard concept to wrap your head around, because I certainly don't. You can't wake up if you don't fall asleep. Maybe is that more? No, you can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. I was trying to get the specific verbiage there.
Yeah,
but I think that quote is more than anything about just being like present of mind. Whenever, again, I'll always come back to this scene because it's my favorite scene in the movie. I'll go ahead and spoil that. From the moment when all chaos is breaking loose after the alien has dropped the orb back on the ground and it's been inventoried, as Jeffrey Wright says.
Yeah.
And everyone starts going crazy. Everyone starts doing shit for some reason, like this is how they're coping. Jason Schwartzman just like stands there for a second. He goes, I still don't get it. And he just walks off the stage through the little door and backstage, and then we get into black and white. We see Jeff Goldblum in the alien costume. He makes his way to Adrian Brody, and they have that whole conversation. But then he leaves that conversation and goes and talks to Margot Robbie, which is actually the best part of the movie. It's actually my favorite scene. I know I kind of connected a few things there. It's probably two scenes back to back, but it's
all the same.
It's all one part of the movie to me.
I can be down with it. You need that part of the movie to get there. If he just showed up randomly with Margot Robbie, wouldn't have made a lot of sense. He needed to,
right?
Like we needed that little before, I guess, to get there. So
Well, he was like primed for that conversation. Like his mind had been opened up a little bit by the things Adrian Brody had to say.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes and he's like, "Oh shit, you were the wife of my actor
that played my or you're the
You're the wife who played my actress.
Yeah, you're the wife who played my actress." And
yeah, you're the actress who played my wife.
Is he just stumbling on his words, or is it the meta game that's being played? You know, like, because I was trying to think of like what she actually is to him. You know, because like in Asteroid City, they show a picture of their mom.
Yeah, and it's Margot Robbie
in the bathtub or whatever. So she is just a fictional wife.
Yeah, just a fictional mom, which is why this moment doesn't carry weight in the exact way that, like, oh, this was his wife. Oh God, no, like he's relating it back to the loss of. I mean, I'm assuming the loss of his partner and Ed Norton because he died. But even further than that, like I almost think that doesn't matter. Like the loss of somebody, you know, like dealing with grief in general is what this serves to. Whenever Margot starts rattling off both their lines in succession, which, by the way, there was a question recently that was like, what's your favorite on Twitter? That was like, what's your favorite one scene performance? You know, someone who came in, did 5 minutes and dipped and was incredible. Margot Robbie, holy fucking shit, was she good in that moment.
Yeah.
But whenever she was, it's a crucial part of that character's exploration. But the fact that they, like Augie's exploration in the play, it's astonishing that they cut that part of the play. You know, that would be the part where they were like, you know what, we need to cut this out. And it's because it works better in the movie for the actor playing Augie. It becomes more real at that point. It becomes like, it's not just for that character, it's for the people watching, as all things in the black and white is. You know?
Okay. Yeah. That makes sense. Okay. Because I was trying to think the whole time of like, that, you know, that they cut it, you know, too much run time, whatever, you know, for whatever the reason she gave. And then because she was standing, like seemingly she was in a play herself or some. Yeah,
in the other studio on the next theater over. Yeah.
And I didn't remember the name of it.
Yeah, I can't remember.
It'd be really cool if that's like his next movie or something that he's planning.
Oh, right.
I don't know if this like
already announced kind of some of the stuff he's working on. You know, there's been rumors about the Michael Cera movie that he's writing. He said his next movie will be a spy thriller with Benicio del Toro in every shot.
Whoa. Spy okay, I've never heard of that. That sounds amazing.
So, like news it like last night and early today. Like it's like he just knows that's actually what happens. But regardless, yeah, no, like it's that whole scene. It's like it is the crux of the film. You know, if that scene doesn't happen, that's the one. That's the I've had a rough year. That's the I wonder if it remembers me. That, you know, that's the she died 2 years later with our infant son, and you know, like that's that moment for this movie is that conversation with Margot Robbie, and it absolutely destroyed me. And what fucked me up further is throughout that I was already crying from the conversation with Adrian Brody. That because there's a tone switch that when you hit it and you like Wes Anderson, you know you've hit it. You know, as soon as like the music kind of softens as chaos is happening and he goes, I still don't get it. I went, buckle up, buddy. Here we fucking go. You know, I was like, this is it. This is where it happens.
And then sitting so close to each other, like, like talking to each other right there. And then it's like, I just got to get some fresh air. He's like, you won't. Or like, you know, or like that line, like right before he goes out, like you're right. There is definitely like a tone switch right there. And yeah, there were some people like laughing.
Blew my fucking mind, bro. Yeah. Like that was the consensus in the theater was to laugh. And
maybe that's
I was astonished. You know, I was sitting there, I'm like softly sobbing to myself, as Augie's trying to figure out how he should feel, how he should go about living, how, like, what's the point, you know, because that's the point of the play he's acting. That's the point of the life he's leading at the moment. It's like, what the fuck is the point? What am I supposed to do? And I'm like, oh, this is fucking moving. And then they get to the end of the scene and Jason Schwartzman delivers a line where he goes, I still don't get it. And everyone laughed.
I think because
I was like,
I think it's because they feel the same. Like, I think it's like they don't get the movie too, like in that moment with him. I think they're like, yeah, like, because right before this, all the chaos breaks loose and you see like everyone's all freaking out and the alien came back down. And, you know, I think people might be like, oh, I want to know what happens next there. You know, why cut away and like go through all this stuff? And it's like, so maybe that's also like
it plays into it. And, you know, there's this thing about Wes Anderson movies where like, and that's why I'm like, I'm not going to be like, oh, they just don't get it, because art hits you how it hits you. It's whatever, you know, like, if you thought it was funny, you thought it was funny. Maybe you watch it again and you go, wait a fucking minute. This was different. This was not what I thought it was, you know, because he predisposes you to pretty much ceaseless comedy up to that point, you know, like it is a comedy movie up until that point with very little drama or stakes or anything. You know, there's one moment where you're like, oh, is this the Wes Anderson?
The moment
something bad happened all of a sudden. Yeah. Whenever you see Scarlett Johansson like in the bathtub with the pills spilled next to her and stuff, and you're like,
dude. Oh,
I remember Dee let out an audible gasp.
Yes, I was like, oh fuck. I'm like, oh, here it goes. You know, I was ready, and I don't know, like that. I think the whole theater, like, it got quiet. Like it was silent. Everyone was like, oh shit. Like,
well, and that's an example of just how effective Wes Anderson creates characters. We hadn't been presented with anything really that made Midge a like overwhelming loss. You know, it wasn't like anything that was going to be like, oh God, I'm going to cry. But the entire theater, when they saw that, went, you know, and we all know it's a play. We know that's a character in the play.
That's true. What the fuck? It's not even real the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, and they're literally rehearsing their lines in front of us in the play. But is that part of the
I think
play?
they're rehearsing because Scarlett Johansson's character is an actress in the play. She's rehearsing for a movie that she's going to get in universe later on.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, this is true. Because, wow. Yeah, there's so many levels going on there. But another tone switch I remembered, and that was followed very swiftly by comedy, was one of the kids, the Dare kid. You dare me to do this? It's an experiment. And whenever, like,
you dare me?
Why? You know, like, why? Why do you do this? What's the point? And then
in all my years, you know, there's who, what, when, how. These are all worthy questions. Never ask a man why. Yeah. Immediately, that's where my head went. I was like, damn, man, this guy has a way of just calling back to the shit he's done in such a compelling way.
And it was such a good moment, you know, and like get his explanation of like, I just want to be seen, you know, like I do it to not be forgotten. And then it's like, well,
okay, well, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want me to dare you
to climb that cactus? What? Oh, dude, come on, you know.
No,
and it's
we
like,
don't want you to.
So I think it's kind of like, I think the whole movie, the biggest point, like the biggest takeaway, I feel like is how people deal with grief or deal with uncomfortable situations. Yeah, because it's finally an opening up from that, you know, from I forgot his name. Let's see if I can find on IMDb real quick. Clifford, maybe? Yeah. At least that's by 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝗍𝗏𝗏, possibly.
Yeah, that's Clifford. That's Clifford.
Yeah. So Clifford, the Dare experiment kid. Like, I don't know, it was like finally opened up, and that his father was, you know, kind of a piece of shit.
Liev Schreiber, man.
Yeah, I mean, Not in real life, I mean, yeah.
No, yeah.
Like having it in there. But just his character, playing a kind of piece of shit, not really. He's just there. At least he's there, at this expo or little event with them. But he's just kind of like, all right, he's just a little...
I'll break your neck.
Yeah, like, just a little different. But then they have that moment where, like, it feels like that's, like, the first moment. I feel like that's, like, the first real kind of connected moment that they've had. Like as father and son, and then it just is brushed away, and like let's laugh about it. I don't want to stay sad for too long. Is kind of like the let's immediately go back to whatever our sense of normal, and that's like with the whole alien story is like everyone was there, everyone saw that alien without a doubt, everyone was there, everyone had that shared experience. But everyone was wanting to leave and go back to their normal life after it was done. Like, because no one knew what to do with that information. They're like, well, we can't contact this alien. We didn't know where it goes. We don't know what it was here for. We don't know why it was here. Everyone just wanted to leave, to go home, to like forget it, basically. And it's like, if that you would think that would change your life forever. Like you'd think like you wouldn't be able to really, maybe that's why. Maybe they just wanted
that's what happened to Woodrow.
Yeah, it's like that would totally possess everything from that moment on. I feel like it would kind of ruin your life, honestly, like because you just couldn't get it out of your head. And it takes a weird example like that, like an alien coming down to Earth, for that. And I think that's kind of just the most dramatized point of it, but there's a lot of other little points in it, like Clifford opening up to his dad, or the little girls like trying to bring back their mother, like in like their little their little witches, or like what like
we will sacrifice you.
Yeah, it's everyone's dealing with grief in their own way, and I don't know. I think like I'm trying to still. I still don't know where you have to fall asleep before you can wake up. I still forget the verbiage, but like
you can't wake up if you don't fall asleep, or you don't go to sleep.
Yeah, like I just was such a weird, like, I mean, Ed Norton dies, or his character. I feel like that part doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's in real life or in the play or whatever. It's just gone. Loss, and just to give Augie someone to have, to lose or something, and then so they say that he died. Did they say how he died? Or
can't remember
when, or like because
they said he died some months, like he died later, and I can't remember exactly how that went, but I remember them saying he died. And then we get the other view. We get this view of him sitting centered next to Willem Dafoe and Adrian Brody, with the actors split down the middle, like there's risers, which when we switch to the other side is not the case. They are connected, and it's just all one long seating. So it's like another example of them just dramatizing it a bit. But we return to that angle when the alien walks down the hall with the orb and is going, you can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. You can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. And my best understanding of it is just simply that, again, you just gotta let your experiences flow, man. You just gotta be present for the things that happen to you. And, because it would be helpful if I could remember specific verbiage and specific lines from earlier in the movie, because I feel like revisiting it, that first scene is going to be crucially important whenever they're doing that the first time.
I mean, I'm going to be paying attention like a hawk. Like, I'm going to be paying attention like crazy next time I watch it. But I feel like Ed Norton's character is a pretty easy slot in for Wes. Like, it's just kind of like in that scene where him and Jason Schwartzman kiss. I feel like it's literally like Like, I don't know, I feel like that was kind of like a real thing. Like, he's just like, wow, you're just, me and you, we're just meant to make movies together. You know, we get each other. You get my style, I get your acting, vice versa. We make movies forever until we die. And whenever Ed Norton does die, maybe because like it wasn't to full production or anything, but like maybe was it all written at that point? You know?
Yeah. No, like I think the play goes to production and he died. You know, like that's
okay. I feel like, and I don't know if Adrian Brody is the new director. He might be, but I think you might be right. Is he might just be like stage kind of production and stuff like that.
Yeah,
but
he pulls out the little version of the ship earlier in the movie.
I feel like he might have been like the like director who kind of took over, and maybe that's what that whole thing is about. Is that like we have this written play that we didn't write, someone else wrote. There's a whole different vision for it, and that's Ed Norton or Wes, whatever. They're gone right before we actually go to production, so we're trying to get in the headspace of this person who wrote this story, that knows the story, because we don't know it like that person at all, but we're just trying to recreate it to the best of our ability. And maybe that's the sleep thing. Like they're trying to, but like Ed Norton's there is the thing. Like he, like, is it two separate falling asleep? Like think like the one before and the one after, like the two different views. Is it like, are those the same event, you know, or like are they? I don't know. I don't know if I'm.
I don't know. You know, I can't tell you for sure. And that's what's interesting about this too, is that I was looking into it because I saw an article the other day on Twitter that I didn't engage with because I didn't want to know a lot of what was going to happen in Asteroid City. And it was about, the headline was like, how do the actors of Asteroid City interpret that line? That's what the article was. And it's every actor in the cast's answer, and none of them are the same.
Okay.
There is no right answer. You know, like that's the thing, is that it is up to you to figure out what the fuck it means.
I think that's kind of the point of the whole movie. There really isn't a point. Like, and that's the thing, is that he's making a point by saying that there isn't a point to it. You know, like that is his point. So it's all just fucking, and it's all just my head's spinning on how to.
Well, that's the thing, is that like I think that something that we've talked about with Wes, that we talked about with the 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝗍𝙍𝙏, and I think we did again with the 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙏𝙍 Limited, and so on and so forth. Fantastic Mr. Fox. The way Wes Anderson grapples with the sanctity of life and the inevitability of death is incredible, you know. And the way that took form this time was the alien invasion that changed everybody's life. And how do you reckon with that? How do you reckon with the knowledge that your world will never be the same? You know, what we previously knew, what our life previously was, is not the life we had before, which is what happens when you lose a loved one. You know, you should be able to go on. You might be able to go on eventually, but your life won't be the same. It'll be far from the same. And that's just kind of the form it took in this play.
That's what the cop chase, you know, like, remember the car with the flames and like,
yeah.
And like they would just go down, and like I was trying to think like what's that in there for, but it's just like to show like the different scale of like things that don't matter to people anymore. Like that's just a normal event. It happens, and they're like, okay, whatever. We saw an alien. How, like, this doesn't fucking matter to me. They also have atomic bombs going off in the background. They're like, yep. Just, you know, at first, whenever Augie gets in with his family, like, what's that? You know, they're like, oh, what was that? And they're like, oh, just another atomic bomb test, you know, or nuclear test. And then they have one themselves, and it just doesn't
and what's really important about that is that the person who asks, what's that, in the second time is Stanley Zak, Augie's father-in-law. Whereas everyone else experienced this alien invasion and went, oh, nothing. Does nothing matter? Are we smaller than I thought? What the hell is this? He actually grew more fond of life. There's a staunch change of character in him after the alien shows up. He's more open. He is expressing his feelings to Augie and to the kids and stuff. And he is.
Yeah.
There's a moment whenever I don't know. I like the desert. I like aliens. I'm kind of into this. That's not what Stanley Zak was like before. I think they're making a point that previously he'd have been the type of guy to not ask, what was that? He'd have been the type just kind of be like,
okay.
But now he's taken a deep interest in everything. That life is precious. His daughter has died. He's seen an alien. Shit's not the same as it was before. And now I got to savor every ounce of this.
Yeah, like you're 100%. I didn't think about his character really at all, and but
he's one of the most interesting characters in the movie for my money.
Whenever he has that kind of conversation with Augie in front of the car repair shop.
Yeah,
and he's like, I don't like that you have to stay with me, but I will. You can because.
My daughter loved you. I loved my daughter. I have unconditional love in my heart.
Yeah, what came right before that? He's like, I figured out that if I don't love you, then I'm really not gonna. I don't really care about you, but if I do love you, then I'm gonna give everything. For something along those lines. He said it way better.
He says something about how he had unconditional love for his daughter, and that love extended to their 4 children.
I feel but right before that, though, I
have no idea.
Right before that, it was something I've lived. All through my life, I've learned, that there's good and bad people, something like that, but the only people I care about are the ones that I love. But it was right before it extends to your daughters, which then means you. It was right before that. But
right.
I guess the whole point of that was he was very open about his emotions. He was literally telling him his literal emotions and how he felt in that time. And at the beginning of the movie, you would think that he's just a guy that.
I found the quote. In my loneliness, I've learned to give complete and unquestioning faith to the people I love. I don't know if that includes you, but it included my daughter and your 4 children. He's like, in being alone.
Yeah.
I've learned that the people that I love most are of the utmost importance, and that they should be given all the faith in the world. That extended to your wife and your 4 children. I don't know if it extends to you, but because they're with you, you can stick around.
Yeah. Man, that, and that's another just huge name actor. That's a very small role in the movie, but had a scene that hits pretty hard. It's not I'm not crying or anything in that scene, but it's it's definitely not a funny scene. That's for sure. He's evoking some emotions there. And yeah, Tom Hanks. I don't know. I forgot it. I didn't think about his arc that he went on really at all. But definitely, he was there just to pick up the girls, take them home, bury his daughter on the golf court. 7th hole, whatever he said. In my backyard, whatever. But now he's I guess it's kind of when his daughter's are buried. He's like, well, I have no dignity or fight for my daughter anymore. I don't know. Do you, Augie? No, not. So it is kind of still he still has some parts of him,
Oh yeah,
a little bit, but definitely he did have a change. There was a change to him.
Oh yeah, there absolutely is. He possesses this. Well, and that's the thing is that he was insistent prior. It was we are going to dig your mother up, and we are going to do this. After it, he's like, man, nothing. I don't care. I love my daughter. She'll be buried somewhere. Yeah,
parents always kind of have this same trope to them, where like, whenever his car breaks down, they know it's not going to be fixed anymore. The tires are all off, and they're getting everything out of the car. Augie's like, all right, you do this, 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 and this. You do that, 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 and that, and you do blah, blah, blah. Like, they're very, like,
detail-oriented.
yeah,
controlling.
And, like, there's always kind of something like that. Like, in 𝘆𝚘 Tenenbaums, the mom is just kind of like that because she wants her kids to succeed, and, like, okay, we're doing this, this, this. Like, 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙀, I guess it's not parents. Well, yeah, it is, because, I was thinking it was just Owen Wilson doing it, but it came from his mother.
Came from his mom, yeah.
And the reason why he's doing that. And then, like, you're right about, like, how he connects other parts, like, his other movies, but it's not, like, obvious. It's not, like, a clear callback, but it's just, like, a story element that was, it might not even be a callback at all.
No, I don't think, I hardly think it's ever intentional. You know, I think it's just, these questions are so front of mind for Wes Anderson whenever he's writing a movie or writing a script that they bleed through in their own way that connects to his previous work, but is still brand new in and of itself. You know, whenever Liev Schreiber and Steve Carell ask the kid, what was his name? We just went over it a second ago. When they're Clifford? Like, why do you need to? Clifford. Why do you need me to dare you? It's not like he goes into a whole like, man, I truly have no idea what I'm about to say. You know, like, never ask a man why. You know, like he has an answer, but like he does kind of stumble over it. You can tell he doesn't know what he's about to say. You know, it's not like he's making a big old thing of like, oh, I don't like the question why. You know, like it's a whole different animal, and I think why is kind of just a larger question of this movie. You know, it's like, why do we exist? You know, why go on after something like that can shake my world? Like, why? And that's for the viewer to decide. You know, they give you the tools to kind of be like, you know, life goes on. You got to go with it. And that's just kind of that, man.
Hollywood trying to tell us something. We have Asteroid City that comes out right now. You know, about like, oh yeah, aliens, they've been, you know, seemingly that been here with, I don't know, before. You know, also Secret Invasion coming out right now. Like, it's just a lot of hey, be okay with aliens on Earth. Like, it's not, you know, like, I don't know. I don't really think that Wes has the inside scoop of the alien invasion or Marvel, you know, whatever. But who knows? I don't know.
Who knows?
You know, maybe they are trying to get us just ready eventually they break it and they're like, all right, all these movies you've been seeing, well, we've been priming you guys. Actually, there isn't it, you know. But even if that, like, everyone still goes crazy. Like, there will be people. Like, the part aspect I loved about the story is whenever the alien does come down and inventories it, you see the town then go crazy and everyone trying to make money off of it. You know, it's like everyone's coming in, having attractions, selling little trinkets, doing whatever, trying to do whatever. But then you have Augie, who took the picture of the alien himself, like the guy who would actually make the most money out of anyone. And then whenever he's at, like, I think his son Woodrow's like, Dad, you took the picture. You know, like, you photographed the alien. He's like, well, yeah, I'm a photographer. You know, it's like, it's not even in his mind to go and, like, to sell it. But I guess, didn't he sent it to someone, though? There was, like, a little detail.
Yeah, the middle school newspaper that broke the story initially. And
Augie
then
sent the picture to them? Or was it,
I think, I'm assuming Augie sent it.
Okay. Yeah. So he just wanted to, I don't know. So
yeah,
he sent it to a middle school.
People need to know, you know, like, it's just.
Yeah. Like, he was just, I don't know. I think, I love that kind of, like, it reminded me of Nope in that, like, aspect of, like, you know, just how that picture was taken, you know, at, like, the very end. Like, you need a film camera, to do it. Like, a digital wouldn't work. But, like, and that's not even really an aspect of this. But, like, I just love alien stories regardless. Like, I was already into this movie regardless, but then it had just all of the like I don't know if I want to call it fourth wall Reiki, but just like the meta kind of story that's been going on.
Yeah, the commentary
was way more interesting, which I didn't think. You know, I thought I was going to be in the movie mainly for the alien and the sci-fi aspects of it, but then it was quickly like it's just a play. You know, like it's just like part of the story that's being told right now. It's not even like.
Isn't it funny how that can happen too? Like, if it was just a movie, you'd be like, oh, an alien just came down. But if it's a play within a movie, it's oh, well, that alien just came down, but it's just a part of the play. You know, like it's not just a part of the movie, it's just a part of the play. Because it's meta and it's buried in these levels of contrivance that make it so that you have to think about it like it's not a real event. Like you got to think about why it happened. But it is interesting that you pose the question, you know, like all these like alien stories right now, and are they trying to prime us for something? And I think that I love where your head's at, of course, always. But there's a much more, you know, real world connection to make here, and there's even connections to make within this movie where. You know, there's a line by Montana, Rupert Friend's character, where he says, you know, he ain't American. You know, he ain't of God's earth, but he's of somewhere. You know, like we got to, and I think that's the point. You know, it's more about acceptance than it is anything else. It's about accepting people for who they are and what they are. If they mean no harm, if they show you no reason for you to think, oh, they want to hurt me. And they probably don't want to fucking hurt you, man. You know, there's no reason there, and there's kind of this other factor of all the characters in this movie. They're all alienated in some sort of way. No pun intended. There's, you know, Midge Campbell, who's a famous actress, and every time her name is mentioned, everyone's like, "Oh, Midge Campbell." You know, oh shit. Augie is kind of like self-isolated, and he's become alienated via his own choice. The kids are all alienated by their parents. Their parents don't understand them in any capacity, and they find that connection in each other. Augie finds that connection with Midge. There's all sorts of like, you know, they're looking for connection any way they know how, and something that helps that along is, you know, shared experiences, shared. Not I guess trauma. I guess if you look at seeing an alien as traumatic, which I guess like probably would be.
I don't really know how you'd describe that. Life changing might be the best. Like it's either going to be really good or really bad. I don't know if there's really any in between. But no, I think okay. I like that. The no harm thing, like and maybe, you know, take aliens out of it. I think it's just what's going on in the world. Like no one really wants to harm anyone. You know, like like we're doing all these crazy conflicts and wars and all these things all the time, and it's like, but at the end of the day, like the mass population on Earth doesn't give a fuck about the war or like all these conflicts that are going on, but like why they're going on, no one cares. Yeah, it's like the soldiers who are actually going out fighting, they're just doing that because their country's telling them to. It's not like they actually are like, oh, I like believe in this cause full heart. I guess there are probably some of those people,
probably plenty, but
like, yeah, it's just like all these conflicts that are going on. It's like, why? You know, like, what are we really doing here? You know, like,
well, there's a line from Jeffrey Wright's character, the general, whenever he gives his first speech that opens Asteroid City. Fucking incredible when he's like, chapter 1, and then he rattles it off. Chapter 2, rattles it off. But he delivers a line that stuck with me really hard, where he goes, "My father went off to fight the war that would end all wars. It didn't." You know, like and that's kind of, everyone's grappling with that too. You know, there's a war to end all wars, and but war doesn't stop, shit keeps going. Again, like that's...
And it always elevates. And that's like, what keeps me awake at night is like, if there's like there are two options. One, aliens are real, and they have been here, and they are non-violent, because if they were, we would have been dead long ago. Like but like they are here. They seem pretty chill. They probably have given us technologies in the past, like who knows? But now we're getting kind of to the point where we're getting really, really bad, and like we could actually do some damage to not even just our own planet, but like to other things. Yeah. So like, okay, or it's like they're not real at all, but the government is like pushing that story to make like a global conflict. Like, to, like, kind of push people towards, like, oh, this might be real. We need to, like, prepare for this so that they can make all of these crazy weapons and still fund the military heavily, Either option, it's like, I'd much rather the aliens to be real. Like, right. If they're fake, that sucks. That really sucks. And, like, it's just, like, propaganda, basically, which, like, really blows. And it's... Like, I don't know, it's crazy that, like, right now, like, not just conspiracy theorists are, like, speaking of UFOs and like, aliens and stuff. Like, the real government and, like, NASA and, like, people all over are, like, talking about this. Like, craft that we just can't explain. Like, and they're like, well, it's time, like, something's out of the bag, it feels. Like, something has... Like, we've opened Pandora's box, and I don't know where it ends, but, like, this movie was kind of just, like, a all-encompassing, like, even if it's not aliens or whatever, like, the point of the movie is still, like, how people will react to these certain situations. Like, will it just go to straight chaos? Will, people just want to go home, forget about it, because you do have... Jeffrey, right? Like reading those note cards from Zero, or not Zero. I don't know, like.
Oh yeah, Tony Revolori.
Yeah, which was really cool. Just kind of being like another kind of like really good lobby boy, different lobby boy here, but
different type.
But reading those cards, like, all right, step 1, make sure everyone cannot leave, quarantine the zone. And then,
already accounted for, sir. That process is in motion.
Yep, and then it's like, blah blah,
Yeah, just keep going.
Question everybody, make sure that the word doesn't get out.
Deny.
Yeah. And like, all right, obviously we'll have to come up with some cover story here. And like, there's just an endless rabbit hole that you can go down with aliens, and it's just, you sound like a crazy person, whenever you start to like talk about it and stuff. But like, I don't think that truly matters for like this movie. Like, I don't think that's the point he's trying to make, is that like, the alien part is just to have something that's so beyond.
Yeah, it's extremely allegorical. I don't think it's supposed to be exactly.
Oh, maybe that's the wake up moment in the play. Like the shared experience that everyone needs to have, that's undeniable. That is like, because Augie, lost a wife, lost his wife, and is dealing with that loss or whatever. But no one knows how or what to say to him to fix a situation at all. It's like, it's his problem, and it's like, and then you have like, oh my God, yeah, that whenever they're, when Midge and Augie are talking through the window, and they're like we're the same. Like, we both have trauma, or we both have pasts that we just don't want to talk about, or that we don't even know how to talk about. And that's what makes us connected, or that's what, I forgot, like,
that's what connects us. I think it's basically what
and like, that's what connects us, is the shared trauma, but it's not shared at all. It's just trauma
that we both have.
Yeah. But in this case, seeing the alien, like, everyone was there. Everyone was speechless. Everyone experienced the same exact thing. And maybe that's this share, like, sleep, like, maybe, it's like a dream. Like, that's how you'll think of it, is like, that couldn't have happened, like, that's like, that was a dream. I saw an alien come down to Earth, put an asteroid back down, like, or pick up an asteroid and go. And it's like, that's not real. I'll move on with my, like, it's, I don't know, maybe that's like the...
Well, and that's what I think we've kind of discussed. You can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. In a context, that means you should go to sleep. You should, you should appreciate your rest. You should chill. I walked out of there I think it's the opposite. I think it's telling you, don't go to sleep. Stay awake. Like, be aware. Don't let that thing become something that, that just must have been a dream. You can't wake up if you don't go to sleep. You just stay awake. You don't have to wake up to anything. You just are. And I think that was kind of the essence of what that was, more than anything saying, was just you can't wake up if you don't go to sleep.
I like that, just being aware. Like that's like, because I was trying to think, like, does he think people are dreaming and they're like, when they're awake they're not really awake and they're making it more of the dream in real life? But no, I think that's definitely more of it. Like, it's just be aware that you do go to sleep, that you do dream, that you do wake up every day. Like, and because that still blows my mind every time I think about it. Like, I go to sleep. Sometimes I dream, sometimes I don't. But when I do, it's the craziest shit ever that happens in my head. Or it could be something completely mundane. Like, it could be a fever dream that I'll want to, like, wake up and instantly be like, oh, I have to tell someone. Like, I have to write this down. Like, there have been some dreams where I'm like, oh my God, I have to write this down. Like, it was just so crazy. And then it's just gone. Mm-hmm. Like, instant, you try to remember it, just gone.
Well, and I think that's more than anything what this movie is trying to say is, don't let real things that do happen to you become dreams. Don't let it just wash past you. Like, you reckon with the things that happen, and you're not supposed to forget it. You're not supposed to just you're not supposed to let it go by and never think about it again. You are supposed to think about it. It is supposed to be present in your mind. It's just you're not supposed to feel any one way about it. You do reckon with it how you'll reckon with it, as long as you do reckon with it. Don't just let it go away. Which is what I think that this movie is more than anything trying to say. There's there's an interesting thing where this movie, the writing of this movie began in late 2019, where in the movie they all go into quarantine, and how do they wrestle with going into quarantine, and how do they
that didn't even cross my mind.
Yeah, it's because you'd like to just forget about it. You just like to let it wash past you. And that's fair. Who wouldn't? It's and that's one of those things that, like, it almost doesn't feel intentional. It certainly wasn't. They started writing this before that all happened. But that just kind of a result of it. The bulk of the writing occurred during COVID. And whenever there's a shared experience between people where, there was nothing like that before in my lifetime anyway, where, at least that I can consciously remember, I should say, where everyone was aware of the very same thing, and we were all going through it in some way, shape, or form. Maybe not to the same extent as others, but we all knew what was happening, and we all were aware that something needed to be done about it. And a lot of people just ignored it, went on about their business. They oh, sorry, I was getting a phone call there for a second. But I think that's it might be coincidental, but it felt like a good allegory for it. And it was a good way to reckon with, like, the effects of a mass, like a collective trauma that America kind of has, where we just went through that, but already everyone moves on. Life goes on. Everyone just keeps going, and very few people think about that.
It is, that's not even that long ago at all.
No.
Like, that is, you're like, other things that have been like that, 9/11 would
9/11,
probably
yeah.
be the last one, but I
Before
was
that?
a year old.
Yeah, me too. Don't remember
Maybe
that.
the housing crisis, but probably not. I wouldn't say to that degree. But then, like, the ones before that is probably like world wars. Like,
Yeah.
like I don't know. Like, there's, yeah, and you're right in people we just want to completely forget that time. Like, it's just a couple years out of our lives that are like, well, we all know it sucked. Like, we all hated that time. Like, it was, we tried to make the most of it, and we're like, well, I guess we can just be at home and do, and chill out and do.
And I think that's why there's a point that's made in this movie where Stanley Zach, the oldest member of the cast, and the kids are the most like, yo, that just happened. We got to reckon with that, and everyone in the middle is just kind of like, we got to just go ahead and move on. We got to get past that. The kids can't move past it. They got to figure out why it happened. They got to be able to understand it. They have to make sure that if it does happen again, it won't be as dangerous. It won't be dangerous. They have to get it down to the T. They have to understand it. Whereas everyone else is just kind of like, hey man, it came down, it went, that must be it.
Yeah. Like that, it's like me, whenever I think of aliens or whatever, I kind of do brush it off. And I'm kind of just like, well, if they do want to come down here and do whatever, we have no means to stop them. So it's like, whatever. But maybe that's kind of like a dangerous mindset to have. And maybe, like, I'm not just aliens in specific, but like I'm like talking of the larger idea about it. Like, the mindset I have towards that is not the mindset I should have. I should be aware, and I'm speaking of aliens, so it sounds like I'm just going off the deep end, I guess. But like, I'm like, I like that point that you made about just like being aware of everything. I think that's like what all of this can tie back to is like, you have to be aware of all the grief, of all the sadness, of everything that you've been through. Just because the happy memories you have, you are ultra aware of that. Like you want to even be more aware, and you remember those, and like you think back, you read comfort comics, you watch a comfort movie to remind you of good times, but you never go back and like, I'm going to watch a movie that reminds me of one of the worst times in my life. Or like, right, I'm going to think about this horrible experience I had with someone. You never like just stop and think like that.
Well, and that's the thing, is we rarely reflect on our history at all. Like I certainly have happy memories, I don't spend a lot of time relishing in those happy memories. And that's the thing, is that like I think it's telling us also to respect the preciousness of life, just remember that you are alive, and the good comes with the bad, and nothing is more or less important than anything else. Like, every moment in your life it's your life, man. It's precious. That's you are existing, and that's wonderful. I think that's kind of what he's done that before. That's kind of
that show up whenever they see the event. They make it seem that it's going to be this crazy thing you're going to see in the sky, and that it's going to, something crazy, but then it's just boop, boop,
the astronomical boop, ellipses.
Three little dots. And that's like, I look at stars and the moon. I look at stuff through my telescope all the time. And a lot of people think that if you have a telescope, you're going to be able just to see Jupiter or like Saturn.
Yeah. No.
You have to have a big ass telescope to even know that what you're looking at is Saturn, if you don't know. Like, I mean, you have to have an observatory to see like those rings. But it's like, I go out there, and like right now Mars and Venus is up at the night sky. And you can actually look at Mars and you can see that it's red. You see like a red tint to it with your naked eye, which is kind of crazy. But it's like, if you don't know and you're not in the know, it's just another star. It's just another dot in the sky. But it's incredible. Like, that's what, like, every night I go out there and I'm like thinking about it. Like, and I literally just sit there and I'm like, oh my God. Like, just even me to look at the moon right now, it's crazy. It just blows my mind every time I think about it. And like, having that little 3 dot little thing was like a perfect like way to explain kind of like how people look at space and science and stuff. Like science on its base level is so boring to like most people. Like but then if you just kind of look into how that stuff actually happens, it's like it makes it even more unbelievable, like what you're looking at. And that's, I don't know, I really loved the like science-y kind of twists or storytelling, like
right
arc that they went on, like in with oh my god, what was her character name?
Hickenlooper?
Hickenlooper, is that it?
Yeah, Dr. Hickenlooper.
Yeah, Hickenlooper and
played by Tilda Swinton there.
Yeah, and Woodrow, kind of like that moment they had in the tent together, where, you know, he's like, oh, I think I can see the dots in your eyes, you know, like, and like, she's like, well, you should be my protege, you know, you come, like, you get it, you know, like, and it took, like they would not have known that about each other unless they were together. They had this shared experience, and like so we got that. Even the other kids, you know, that were there are probably like people she'd want to work with, and like people that seem like to like the cause, and I don't know, or like science and be like-minded. But then she was like, oh no, like, Woodrow, you are different. Like, there's something that I see in you that I like I don't know, and there's always like that weird young kid with older woman in Wes's movies a lot of times. Like, there was a weird tension there where I'm like, are they like gonna like kiss like for a sec? You know, like I knew like it wasn't going to happen, but there's
an intimacy that's portrayed in that moment that I think it's more than anything in that scene. I was kind of just taken to the intimacy of a shared experience and a shared passion. You know, like even, and I've said this many times before, the easiest way to reckon with feelings like that or to recognize them is we filter things like that through a romantic lens, because, you know, that's what, I mean, love is kind of, in my opinion, like one of the main points of this whole thing, you know, life. So like naturally everything I watch, I filter through a lens of like, oh, are they falling in love? You know, is this a love story? Is that what this is about? And this is a love story, but it's about a love for a love for a passion, a love for a thing between Tilda Swinton and Jake Ryan and Woodrow there. It's you know, they share a passion, and in that passion they formed a bond that, you know, it isn't romantic, but it is. It almost feels that way. It has that strength. Yeah, you know,
it's like they have that shared passion, and they don't know, like, they both know that they have it there, but you don't know how to like express.
It's the spark of something new, you know, and it's not the spark of a new relationship as in it's romantic. It's the spark of oh shit, who knows what we can discover, you know, like who knows what we can happen upon together. And I think that's like, you know, I think that's the importance of literally using an ellipses, you know, what grammatically an ellipses, it's a pause that leads to something that's going to happen, you know,
okay, wow, I didn't even think about that. It's wow. And then what comes next?
What comes next? You know,
wow, that is so good. Yeah, I didn't get that. You just unlocked that one for me.
Yeah, no, that's why I thought like using an ellipses was so, in a movie that's about like, how do you continue? How do you go on? Yeah. That's literally what an ellipses gives you a moment to think about. You know, it's like, what comes next?
Okay. Yeah. I was trying to find something of, and I don't know if it's this, I feel like there's another movie that did it like like it was like the real main point of it, but I can't quite get it. But it's like people's imagination, like their own imagination is like the best storytelling device there is. Like if you don't say what's going on and you just make someone have to make it up themselves, like that's like, you'll have way more of a connection to a movie if you can't like are thinking of what's going to happen next, or like you are creating the movie in your own head or something. Like if it's not given to you outright, it's not just told told to you, or like, here's what's happening, whatever. If it's, I don't know, like a cut to black, you know, like in ellipses, I guess. Like imagine, I don't know, I'm trying to think of an example of like maybe whenever Midge is laying in the bathtub, dead, you know, and we don't know she's dead. If they just cut to black there for like a couple seconds, and you just sit there with your thoughts, and like you have to think like, oh my God, is she? You know, like it's in that time, in that moment, right then and there, that like nothing was said, nothing was done. It was the viewer that had to do all of that. Like Wes didn't do anything. Like he just set it up, you know, like it's just set up for that. And I think, I don't know, I that's crazy that I didn't even think about it as an ellipse. I was just thinking of like just the space and
astronomical ellipse. I didn't even really think about the significance of it until we were talking about it. You know, you got to the ellipses, and I was like, well, we're talking about this. What comes next, and how do you go on? And that's what an ellipses provides you an opportunity to do, is to like continue to keep going forward at the end of like what you might have thought was an ending. ... isn't, you know, like it's like there's this little, there's a continuation. Wow. There's something that goes on there, and I love this movie, man. And the more I talk about it, the more I enjoy it, and I know that the more I watch it, the more I will as well. And I'm super excited to see it again. Yeah. But do we want to do some favorites? I feel like we haven't gotten into very specific favorites yet.
Let's see. Like character's the one where I'm still,
I don't know, man. I've got so many fucking options.
Yeah, that one's tough. Character's really tough. My line, when I heard it, I was like, cut it up. Like this is the line. Comes from Dina, Midge's daughter, right?
Yeah.
Or
yeah, it's Midge's daughter.
And it's whenever they're up in the observatory looking like he I don't know, they have like their first kind of cute moment. He messes up the controls, it's spinning all crazy, and then she looks up into the telescope, and she just tells Woodrow, like, sometimes I think I feel more at home outside the Earth's atmosphere. And then you see Woodrow like be like
he's like, oh my God, you put into words something I've always felt. You know, like
God, yeah, and like just how immediate, like you knew that they were just like, you know, there was the tension building, like that they were going to be like a thing when they were sitting playing their little name game or whatever, or like, hey Woodrow, come over here, like so like you knew that they were going to kind of be like a little romantic interest throughout the movie. But then like when it got there, it was just so cute, like in the observatory, and like just I don't know, I really just like the line as well. Like it's just I like Earth. I love Earth. I don't want to put that idea across. Like I love Earth. I love nature. I really think of Earth as my home. I don't really want to go anywhere. But I don't know. It is just like I really love space to a degree that a lot of people don't. And it just, I don't know. It resonated whenever she said that. Like I don't know. Like I just kind of. It was a line that didn't really mean much for the movie, you know, but just a little character moment that was had that I loved.
Oh no, that was definitely one of those moments where I was like, well, that's an easy contender, like straight off the rip. Like, okay, yeah, that's gonna be one that's up there for me. But later on, there was a moment in my favorite scene. It's a little bit of a callback where, you know, Midge and Augie had that conversation about like, did it come out? No, my pictures always come out, you know, like it's what I do. This is my shit, you know? And, but then we see him talking to Margot Robbie, and she's going through all their lines, you know, where he goes, she just rattles off the entire conversation they were supposed to have. And then she gets to the last line and he goes, like, he's like, my pictures always come out. Like he remembers and realizes, he's like, this is things will turn out how they turn out. You know, my pictures will always turn out. You know, there's a moment whenever, you know, he's standing in front of that little griddle after he's made a sandwich, and he takes a bite. Then he throws his hand down on the grill, and Midge reacts. She goes, that just happened. Did that just happen? She broke character. he burnt his hand. And he did that intentionally. He's trying to feel something. He doesn't like, he's like, I don't know how to feel, so I might as well just do this. And that moment when he, like, it all comes back to him almost whenever he, like, realizes, like, my pictures always come out. Like, that's, that ended up being my line, just because, like, I'm already, like, crying. You know, there's that line that my pictures always come out as for me, it's been a rough year. I wonder if it remembers me. My picture always comes out. My pictures always come out. Like, that's I
loved his pictures too, and like how I was trying to find maybe a connection whenever he hung up the pictures in the background, and you like it was them talking, you know, through the windows, but in the background there's always two pictures that are hung up. I think the first was the atomic bomb was one of them. Like the mushroom cloud, and then the other was it just, what was the first one? Oh, it was in the diner, Midge
at the end of the diner,
taking a bite. So it was like ultimate destruction on one hand, and then just like the most mundane, someone's just eaten, you know, on the other hand. And then I felt like every time he hung up pictures, it was always like a stark contrast. One was the alien.
One was her leg hanging out of the robe, her getting
That's
dressed.
Right. That one, they posed, even the alien kind of posed for that picture, and like she posed for that picture. Yeah, okay, so maybe there is actually something going on there. Because I swear, I'm like, these pictures are, there's no way it's just like, all right.
Well, there's also a visual language there that they're expressing whenever, you know, it's not only is it very visually stimulating to have these sort of frames. You know, they're literally in windows, like these window sills. They're captured in a moment in time. They're in a box. They're trapped almost, you know, like that, literally in the sense of the quarantine, and also that they don't know how to feel. You know, they're just kind of, it just kind of exists in this state that's unmoving. It's stagnant. They're not going forward. They're not going backwards. They just are in those moments. And it's really cool whenever we cut to an angle where they lean out of the window, and you can tell that they're like connecting on some sort of level that's deeper, because they're getting out of their box. They're getting out of their
because everyone was in their own itty bitty little, like, hut, house, hotel room. I don't know, like, what to really call it, but like, and what was up with the one that burnt down? Like, there was it number 5 by chance?
I can't remember.
I feel like it was either number 5 or 7. If it's 5, that's really weird, just for watching V for Vendetta recently, and like, his cell burnt down. It's probably not that whatsoever. But like the little huts they were in, and like how everyone was so separated, you know, and like it, but I don't know. I didn't think of the literal viewing them through their windows as like you're viewing, like, it's just that character, like through the window, like, and seeing them, and like it always did cut back.
Fucking gorgeous too,
like,
man.
Yeah, that's.
The visuals in this movie were just absurd. So let's talk shot next.
Okay.
What might be your favorite shot in the movie?
I did, and it's kind of, I don't know. Maybe it's a gimme. I don't know. But I loved whenever the alien came down. Not the actual stop motion of the alien picking up the thing and stuff, but just whenever everyone's looking up and just the green light with the UFO above them, and like everyone's like taking off their little box or whatever, looking up. I don't know, just them all sitting in the crater. That was the one, like, I guess the shot that came, like, that was like, okay, I really like that one. That was like, kind of hit me right away. Out of like just singular shot. But like, if I like the look of Asteroid City, like almost like every shot of Asteroid City I like more than that, because of like the color scheme and stuff like that. But if I just had to single one out, I really liked whenever it turned green.
It's that moment where visually it's not the same as the rest of the movie, and it happens. It happens in a few other Wes movies, you know. There's that one in Grand Budapest that I picked where the lights are rotating behind Saoirse Ronan's character, and Moonrise Kingdom, where for one scene it's in this like rose tint pink sort of vibe. That's that in this movie is this green aesthetic that does not pop up again for the rest of the movie. It's different. It's letting you know something's changed, you know?
And was it Adrian Brody's wife that like said like, "Oh, you did the green, good."
Yeah.
Like I feel like it was kind of her input as well. Like it wasn't like gonna happen before. They didn't think about that before, but then it was like, "Oh no, make it green," like or whatever. Like, did you do the green? Good. Which was really cool. Like just that back and forth was really cool. I can't believe people really didn't like it. Like they said it took away from the movie. Like I thought it was like
I thought that was
a really
the best
cool
part,
yeah,
man.
that like man, I don't get that take at all, but yeah, that's my shot.
No, I love that. I love that. And there's all sorts of visuals in this movie that are worthy of it. You know, those shots of Scarlett Johansson or Jason Schwartzman in the window where you can see like the horizon on one side of the screen or something. Like that's always gorgeous. The nuclear bomb exploding whenever he leans out the window and takes the picture, a gorgeous shot. But there's a dolly shot that just kind of a classic Wes Anderson move where it's just on a level and it goes down a line looking at everybody who's here right now. And it's when they are all lit up by like polka dot sunshine under some sort of cabana that has like, that's like,
oh yeah.
Oh dude, it's gorgeous. And it gives you a chance to see every character. It goes through everybody. And it was one that like I was predisposed to before we went into the movie. I was excited to see it because I saw someone tweet something about it and I was like, God damn, that is pretty. But it was even prettier to see it in motion because it wasn't just one shot. Like, I mean, it was one shot, but it wasn't just one person, one table that they were on. They took you through the entire slate of people who was there and they show you everybody in this polka dot light that is just beautiful to look at, man. It was gorgeous. And I'll be astonished if like Robert Yeoman doesn't get nominated for cinematography, if Wes Anderson doesn't get nominated for like best director, the production design in this movie is fucking crazy. I watched a behind the scenes thing by the production designer who worked on Grand Budapest and Moonrise and even worked on Isle of Dogs and French Dispatch, where they were explaining the cafe, the luncheonette. The entire thing is you can open up one of the sides, you can pull up the windows, you can basically tear the whole thing down like a little box and then put it back up if you wanted to, but they're all just sitting inside of it. And just the craft that went into that, the idea that they want a shot that's like a horizon shot almost, but within this one little place, and there's Midge down at the end of the counter, you know, and then they flip to the other angle and there's Jason Schwartzman at the end. It's just like the thoughtfulness of these productions are insane, man. And so that shot, just because I thought the production design where they showed all the housing and the lunch, the picnic table,
good. Yeah.
It was pretty.
I remember there were a few kind of tracking shots like that. Where it was just kind of going through, showing everybody. Because there was one where, I remember Clifford, like, hey, do you dare me to eat this pepper? Really hot pepper. You know, he takes that bite, and then it like goes into like Steve Carell.
Yeah, that was like the beginning, like introducing.
So it is that shot? Is that
no? It's a different one.
Okay.
That's the beginning. Whenever they introduce the characters, essentially when they arrive to Asteroid City.
Yeah,
that was
I don't
another
know.
one.
I really he's just very good of it. The shots aren't that complicated, but they are. Like, I don't know. I guess like they look very simple, but to put everything exactly where it needs to go and like have all the cues met, have like every character where they need to be, like it's insanely complex, but it looks simple. Like he makes it look very simple. Like I don't know. It's
which
very
is why
strange.
there's this misconception that you can just hop on TikTok and make a minute-long video where, they're recreating Wes Anderson's style. No, they're not.
Like,
not completely.
Like I'm looking just on IMDb. There's one of that polka dot sunshine. It's people just sitting at a table, there. But then like Steve Carell's friend, he's bringing in some like sparklers or whatever, which was just hilarious. Just giving people sparklers. But then like there's other people that I don't even recognize these characters at all, actually, in the movie. But they're just sitting back there in a table that's behind them, but they're perfectly in between the two people who are in front of frame. And then there's a guy in the back on a ladder fixing the roof of one of the things I didn't even notice right now. But like everyone is perfect.
There's a dude. Did you notice the guy who just kept popping up? There's a character in the background almost all the time. He looks like he's got sunglasses and like a fedora on. He looks like a detective, undercover spy sort of guy. There's a moment whenever Tom Hanks goes and like walks into Scarlett Johansson's house, and he like peeks in through the door for a second, and Tom Hanks like looks right at him, and then he just like walks out of frame, and it's like that guy's in a lot more of the movie than you think.
Yeah, what? That was really weird. Yeah, Tom, when he walked in there, that guy followed him. Did he follow him in?
Walked right in, peeked in. Tom Hanks looks right at him and is just kind of confused, and then he walks out.
Huh. Yeah, I guess I'm trying to think of...
Yeah, you were speaking to the background stuff, and he just kind of...
I can't picture him in my head. I'm trying to,
in the diner scene, when Midge and Augie meet, he's sitting in the corner reading a newspaper. He's the only other person in there.
Sunglass... Okay, I'm looking at one shot, and it's whenever they're sending beer bottles up, and then Liev Schreider's shooting them with his son's, little invention.
Yeah,
and it looks like there's a guy in a fedora, sunglasses, that he's the guy launching them, loading the beer up. Yeah. If that's him, I don't know. I'm just going through random pictures. That was the first kind of guy that fit the description. But it might,
he looks like somebody who is undercover, like he's not supposed to be there. Almost is kind of the vibe.
Oh my god! Yeah, in the back of whenever Augie takes the picture in the diner. He's just sitting back there in the booth, looking at him, listening into the I remember that now. Yes, he was listening in and okay. Oh wow, yeah. Okay, I think that's probably just the government,
I think it's supposed to just be a little watchful
secret government base, they know this asteroid's here, they or whatever, they're trying to detect aliens, so they need a secret undercover guy to just see what's going on around the town.
Yeah, no, it was just interesting, and I don't know if there will be any more reasoning with it. If there will be this is why he was here. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because that's a dude in the play.
Yeah.
Is he supposed to be in the play? They all they just kind of look at him confused when he walks into stage and then walks out. They're just kind of oh, that's weird. No, it was just interesting. I didn't know what to make of it, but I wanted to point it out. But let's do scene next. Favorite scene. I already went over mine a bit, and I've gone over it in detail multiple times. But whenever it cuts to black and white in Act 3, whenever he walks behind stage and he talks to Adrian Brody for a bit and then he talks to Margot Robbie. Hands down my favorite bit there.
I was trying to find anything that could go up to that level. That's the crux of the movie. That's what everything's building towards.
That's the reason the movie ends up being as good as it is.
And I'm a fun scene, if I'm just picking one that's fun. I really liked after the alien came down, and then you have what's her name in Stranger Things. I think she played the
Maya
teacher
Hawke.
In here. Yeah, her trying to give her the class afterwards. Being all right, I'm just gonna do my thing. Yeah, and then hey, I made the UFO. I drew the alien on his home planet.
I wrote a song for him.
Yeah, and then just
Well,
they set up the camera and they were like waiting. Like, I guess that part I didn't really fully understand. But like they were setting up a TV, but then it also had like a camera on it. Like they were talking. Yeah. They were about to talk
to the parents who had arrived, who were getting debriefed about the situation.
That makes it even better.
So and then it boots up and they're performing a song. They're like, "Oh, our alien brother up in heaven," like it's like, what the fuck are we even doing here, man? No,
I guess that's also when
Montana delivers that line.
Yeah. So I don't know. It was like I guess it's not up to that level.
That was one of the stories that I kind of wish we would have got a little bit more expansion on. Was Maya Hawke and Rupert Friend's romance that kind of kindled?
Yeah,
I thought like they did so little with it, and even so, it was still very, very like it put a smile on my face whenever they were like dancing around during the song and stuff. I was like, it made me really happy, and it was just an interesting little choice to have that so minor in the story, and it still resonates so.
That's kind of how he deals with love or sex or anything. It's like he won't show it on screen, but it's just implied. Like in
Augie and Midge.
Yeah, it's just implied that they got down, and then like in French Dispatch, trying to remember characters' names.
Yeah, Zeffirelli and Kremens.
Yeah, like it's just he didn't show it, but it's like they're in bed right next to each other. It's like, all right,
yep,
we get the idea. It's like I think that's kind of how he deals with.
No, and it's always pretty compelling, man. There's another contender for my favorite scene would have been the actor who plays Augie visiting Ed Norton's character at his cabin. That whole scene where he's presenting him.
That is pretty good.
And he gets into character. He takes things from the apartment and gets into character, and then he's like, he walks in and he presents a whole monologue, and then he's like, "You're perfect." And he's just like, "Yep," takes off his pants and they start kissing. Like, I'm like, I fucking love that, man. That was incredible. And, I just adored it. I fucking love Jason Schwartzman too. I can't emphasize that enough. So, maybe we go into performance next, or unless you have a scene you want to nail down.
Yeah. I mean, cause if I was going to pick the scene that I came out of the movie with was kind of whenever he walks out of all the chaos and he does go through that, breath of fresh air moment. I don't think anything really stacks up to that. Maybe that's the one that could, though, is that first interaction that Ed Norton and Jason Schwartzman have in there. But yeah, that's the best scenes of the movie. Not in Asteroid City. It's the black and white part of the movie. Yeah, I think I like that. So we can have both, like, two black and white scenes in it. Cause,
technically three. I kind of broke the rules here, but
but what to call that scene? You're perfect. I don't know. Maybe that kind of.
Yeah, I'm like, what was Ed Norton's character's name? I just keep Conrad Earp.
Conrad Earp. And the idea of that was that he was writing, he was still writing the play, right? Not fully finished, but looking for, why was Jason Schwartzman there in the first place? Because he was like, no, tell him to come back tomorrow morning, actually. I'm not ready yet for this.
I can't remember. I can't remember if it was like he hadn't nailed down a lead actor, or if he had nailed down a lead actor and he couldn't think of a place to take the story. Like he was having trouble writing a specific piece of dialogue or something, and then Augie just comes in and dominates it. And he's like, "Yep, that's it. That's going to be it."
Okay. I'll just because kind of it wasn't supposed to be an audition. But he just sort of made it his own audition, you know, like it felt like. So I guess, but his name's not actually. Is that?
No, his name's something else, but I can't
actually
remember.
Augie, but I was just gonna put like Augie's audition or something like that.
The audition.
Damn, that's pretty good. The audition. I'm putting that down. It's going down in there.
I love it. But
yeah, okay, I like
that. No, that was a goodie.
Let's black and whites.
Yeah. I love that. Let's do performance next. Mine, I had a tough time deciding between, I think there's two obvious candidates, and it's Scarlett Johansson and Jason Schwartzman. And I had a tough time nailing it down. But you know what? I decided, I've given Jason Schwartzman a ton of love. I'm going to go ahead and keep on doing that. So I just went ahead and gave Jason Schwartzman the favorite performance in this movie as well. Mostly because, there's this interesting connection to his first role ever in Max Fisher, in Rushmore, the kid who wrote a bunch of plays and was dealing with the passing of his mother and doing all that. It's interesting to see him come kind of full circle in this way and come back to Asteroid City in a role where he's reckoning with a lot of the same stuff, but as an older man and not a young child. And that's super fucking cool, and I think that this performance is so vastly different than anything he's done before. You look at Rushmore, you look at 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙏𝙀, you look at anything he's been in before, and it's nothing like Asteroid City. I don't think he's got a grizzled sort of vibe that he just doesn't present anywhere else. Even when they go to black and white, he doesn't present that vibe. It's a very specific performance he's putting on as Augie, and I adored it. So I wanted to give Jason Schwartzman some love because I don't know if I'll go with him for character. Haven't decided, but I know that I'm going with him for performance because he was just so damn good.
Yeah, and it was between the two of them, that's for sure, Scarlett and Jason. It feels weird to just call them by their first names.
Right.
But I'm definitely between the two of them, and the reason I'm going with Scarlett Johansson is because it was her first, Wes. This is, I don't know, her just coming out and doing this as her first time. It felt like she's kind of been in other Wes Anderson movies before.
Right.
I don't know. And it just blew me away that how well she fit into this world already. And her laying in the bathtub. I remember, there was just a lot of scenes with her in it that were obviously
their
not
chemistry was incredible.
Yeah. They were just playing off each other so well, and even when they were rehearsing, the
nude
scene, help me rehearse, and he,
I do a nude scene. Do you want to see it? And he just kind of stares at her for a while, and she goes, and then he goes, yeah, I meant yes. Yeah, did I say yes? Did I say that out loud?
It's yeah. But then even whenever it's maybe it's right then and there, or maybe it's a little later, but they're rehearsing again, and she's like, well now I knock everything off the shelves. And he's like, well, knock everything off the shelves. And he goes, and breaks the light, or whatever. I don't know, those window shots
just really poignant moment whenever she goes, use it. Use your grief. It works in the play.
Yeah.
But she knows the actor is probably going through some similar shit. It's
yeah,
so she goes, use it, and he kind of breaks, and you're kind of it's because the actor is breaking. It's not the character who's breaking. It's a fascinating movie, man, about how art and passion can get you through the toughest of times. The photography or the acting or the play or the science or the the experiments. It's all of it just boosts these characters, and it's so fucking fun to watch, man. I might fucking see it again this afternoon, man. I'm that high off of it.
It is so good. But yeah, Scarlett as her first coming in here and being a part of a Wes movie. I don't know. I hope. I don't know how much more Wes has in the tank, but I hope it's for a long, long time.
There's 2 or 3 movies he's already confirmed to be developing.
It's awesome. I am so glad.
We will be there.
I need him to keep going, and I hope. I don't know. He's obviously found his core group, but I feel like this is expanded. I don't know. There's a lot more people in. I just always forget her name, but Maya Hawke. I feel like.
She'll be.
I didn't think of her as a Wes Anderson to fit in, but she'd fit in just perfectly.
Fascinating that she gets a role in a Wes Anderson movie before either of her stellar actor parents, Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke.
she's
the daughter of Uma
I
Thurman.
think you've
and
told me
Ethan
that
Hawke.
before, and I it just didn't stick. But it's that. Wow, that's I didn't even know Uma Thurman and Ethan Hawke were like
Made a
I don't know.
child.
Yeah. That's a thing.
No, they did. Maya Hawke's incredible, and she did real good in this movie. I think she's almost certainly a staple from here on in for Wes. I'm hoping Scarlett Johansson is, but that's the other thing. We've seen so many just ins and outs. Someone shows up and then they're never in another Wes Anderson movie, but they killed it. Gwyneth Paltrow and Royal Tenenbaums had a few of them. Gene Hackman, Ben Stiller, Gwyneth Paltrow. There's a few later too where I'm just like, they just show up, they dominate, and sometimes they come back, sometimes they don't. I'm hoping ScarJo does, because she was real good in this.
I really liked it, and I don't want to take away from Jason Schwartzman's performance at all. Like they are both like these.
And that's what's crazy is that the amount of performances in this movie that are fucking incredible is impressive, and it's even more impressive that these two shine so blatantly above the others. Like Adrian Brody's role in this, small, but one of his best in Wes Anderson movies. Bryan Cranston, I know that he's got a very straightforward role, but that's not an easy one to pull off. And he does it very, very well. Tilda Swinton, Jeffrey Wright, they're not as big, but goddamn, are they playing that character to perfection? And
Tom Hanks as well.
Tom Hanks, man.
Yeah, like there's that's the thing is that like people want the more single character focused sort of stuff, but it just doesn't allow for this to happen. Like this is like just such a beautiful way to allow all of this great talent just to go.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing too, is that they're not just going. Like they do have they have something to accomplish in this style, and like
they're not improvising.
It's a challenge. It's not easy, like, and that's what's even more compelling about it is watching them do this thing that can't be easy for them. This isn't like anything they act in otherwise, and that's what's always super compelling to me about it. But I like that the two leads get the nods here out of Jason Schwartzman and ScarJo. But about character, I'm having a tough time with this one.
I'm either going. I like Woodrow.
Love me some Woodrow. Good kid.
Brainiac.
Returning for I think the first time since Moonrise Kingdom, Jake Ryan.
Wait, really?
Yeah, he was a kid. He was the younger brother. Okay. He was the younger brother of Susie, the one who was like, "You're a traitor to our family." You remember that kid? That's
okay. Lionel.
Lionel.
Is the name. He's also in Isle of Dogs. Junior Interpreter Ernie, I guess. Don't remember, but yeah, no, I really liked Woodrow. That's one I'm in between. I was also just thinking Augie as well. I didn't give him the performance, but like, I mean, that's if you're going to take a character out of the movie. I mean, I feel like Augie is the main character here.
Oh yeah.
So I mean, it's probably either Woodrow or Augie. The only Woodrow's a lot just small. I think he just had scenes that I found very cute and that I found very comforting, I guess. But I think for the movie itself, overall, I think Augie he'll get it from me. So I can also give Jason Schwartzman's a nod as well here, because I mean, that's at least on first watch. That's the part of the movie that I love the most was Midge and Augie, just their story. And like I wanted just to go back to them talking in the windows, like just back and forth. Like whenever it was there, it was a nice part of the movie. So yeah, I think I'll go with Augie for my.
I dig that. I dig that.
I think on second watch it might transfer to Woodrow. I don't know. I mean, I love just at the end there with Woodrow, like he's showing him like what do you write in that little notebook of yours, man? And then he's like, oh my God, is that even possible? They're like, oh my, they had to see like the blueprint out or like the plans for something,
right.
What it is. But like they kind of made it seem that there was like there could be another like, second movie to this almost,
right.
But I don't think he'll ever get there. I don't know if he'll, he doesn't seem to be one for sequels.
Nah, I can't imagine he would do that.
But
there's just always so much more to tell. There's always so many more stories. He did this one. He might as well go on to something else. And I'd almost feel disappointed to get a sequel to a Wes Anderson movie. I'd be like, oh, there's so many more stories for you to tell, man. Go ahead and do something else. But, I'd never complain.
Thank God I finally got a space alien one from Wes, and I'm if there is a sequel, I'd be okay with it because it's my kind of where I like the story, but
right.
I do agree.
Man, I adored this, and I think for my favorite character, I'm actually going to end up going Tom Hanks as Stanley Zach. I think that's what I'm actually going to do. Yeah. I think that he saw a really interesting journey as a character. I loved when Tom Hanks was on screen in this, man, and he did an incredible job,
The car exploded. Like that first phone call they had.
I'm not there. You're not here. I'm not there. Like that whole thing where they're going back and forth. It's just, I love it, man. And they, again, just somehow Wes Anderson takes these actors and makes them like, that's how he's got a hand, a knack for this. It's that like these actors have never acted off each other before, as far as I know, and their chemistry is just like immediate. It's incredible.
Yeah.
But I went Stanley Zach for my favorite character. I loved the journey that character went on.
Yeah, I didn't notice it really first watch at all. I think maybe I just was distracted by everything else that's going on.
There's a lot going on.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it again and just focus on all these characters and just also now I know where the movie's going. I think that's a common Wes thing. It's a thing I've said after every time I've watched one of his movies. I'm like, well, I was along for the ride, and now that I'm thinking about it, now I'm, relishing in the movie, just realizing how good it was. I think this one just follows suit as well. It's like,
well, speaking to that, how good it is, let's give this bad boy a rating. What do you say?
I think I'm ready. Yeah, I mean, enjoyment, it kind of has a different vibe to it this time because, we did see it in a theater.
We saw it in theaters, which helps. It boosts
out. This just came out. We've been waiting for this moment for quite some time. We've watched every Wes movie in
anticipation, yeah.
So there is that. Maybe we should try and to let that go. But I don't know.
I'll confidently tell you. It's not my favorite Wes Anderson movie.
Okay.
I have no doubt about that. And I think that maybe that changes with rewatches, but off first watch, it's not the case. You'll find if you go to my Letterboxd that I gave this a 5-star rating on Letterboxd. You'll find that I gave Moonrise Kingdom, Grand Budapest Hotel, Darjeeling Limited, Fantastic Mr. Fox. You'll find I gave all those 5-star reviews, so I rate things a little differently over there than I do on the podcast, but, it isn't far from a 10. I don't think it's a surefire 10 though for me in enjoyment. I do think it's north of 9. Easy.
The 10s we have given, French Dispatch and Moonrise, I believe, are the only 10s. Yes. The next closest, Grand Budapest at a 9.75.
I think I enjoy this. If not, saying French Dispatch was a 10 makes me want to give this a 10, but a 9.75 or even a 9.5. 9.5 or higher is where I'm at.
I feel I'm more at 9.75. This is okay. I'm putting it at the same level as Grand Budapest. I see this as becoming one of my favorites, if not my favorite over time.
I could see it getting there.
It's just in my vein. I love aliens, I love space, but then also I really loved every time that he told his story through a medium and a different medium, and this one was just the most blatant meta, just breaks your brain to even think about. I don't know. This one was just a roller coaster, and I loved it. And I think it's only going to get better. And so I think you're I could be at a 10. I think.
Yeah.
But I do see I like 9.75 or 9.5. But I think I would go 9.75.
I'm cool with that. I'm 100% cool with that. You know, like I wanted to be, I didn't want recency bias to come into too much effect for me, but I think that, you know, with you, it's you know, all of these have been first watches. They're all recency. They're all recency, you know? So like, it's like, I can more confidently go with that if that's how you feel, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, it just had everything. Like, I mean, everything that I want out of a Wes movie. I'm visually stimulated the whole time. Like, that is without question. The performances are ungodly. The story, I just love because it's like just sci-fi alien. Like, I love that shit. And then, but then also just the comedy as well. Like, it was funny. Like, this was like, it was very enjoyable the whole time. Like, there was never, the only part of this movie that I didn't enjoy was how badly I needed to pee at the end. And I was thinking, like, I'm an idiot for not going pee before this movie started.
Right.
And so like, that's literally the only, like, gripe or bad experience I had during this, but it was just like,
I adored it. And I think it was damn well done. You know, like when it comes to a critical rating, I mean, I think it's extremely well written. I think it's extremely well performed. You know, I think any qualms I might have had with writing would be negated with a second viewing. You know, I think a second viewing would be like, oh yeah, of course, duh. You know, and I can't even think of a qualm I had with the writing straight off the top of my head. You know, I thought it was visually brilliant. I thought the score was fucking incredible. I love Alexander Desplat. He's a fucking incredible composer, and he's done Grand Budapest, French Dispatch. This, like, dude's got a he knows that Wes Anderson sound, and we got another good evolution of that here. Robert Yeoman was at the top of his game again with the cinematography. Like, maybe might be the best looking movie Wes has ever done.
It was very nice. Very, very pleasing. Like, every shot that was in here was...
Well, and there's so little that's... You know, Grand Budapest had this thing where it was like, there's stuff where you can tell there's like a mixed medium going on, or it's like, oh, well, that's some of that's visual effects. This feels very, very overwhelmingly practical. Like, there's not a lot you could have done here that's not in frame.
The alien?
And even then, that's a miniature that you can...
Like, I'm trying to think of things that just weren't... Like, that were clearly, okay, well, that's stop motion.
Yeah,
or
the alien, the peacock. Or not
is
the
that
peacock,
it? Roadrunner?
Roadrunner, yeah.
Is that it?
I think that's it.
Like,
the nuclear explosion, but even that looked like the like cotton balls.
Yeah,
that he, you know, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's you know, it was, most of this movie was just there. I mean, the zapper,
yeah,
some of the jetpack, you know, some of the science experiments were a little bit like that, but beyond that, man, yeah, the superimposing the initials on the moon.
Cute. The American flag at first, you know, like you see him load in a little picture, and then like what's that gonna do? And then he just, I don't know, that was pretty funny. And then
man, it's a damn good one. You know, the more I talked about it, the more I thought the better I thought it was. I'm sitting about as high as we've ever been. You know, I think this is deserving of a 9.5. You know, 9.75 even, tying it with Grand Budapest. I think it's
that's interesting. Grand Budapest at a 9.75. I feel like Grand Budapest is, I don't know how better, but barely better.
Yeah, no, I think it's just the story, you know, like the story is a little bit more cohesive, compelling, and not as, oh, I have to dig into this to figure out what it's trying to say. No, Grand Budapest, it's kind of there. You just have to watch it and you'll see it. This one you kind of have to dig through and talk about. So I think that a 9.5, even a 9.25, I'd be okay with. You know, I just think that visually this movie elevates itself in such a way, and I can't emphasize enough how much I enjoyed that score. And the performances, man. Like, it's damn good. You know, so I'm left in a place where I'm high on it. 9.25, 9.5.
If we give it a 9.5, it averages it out to a 9.58 or a 96, which is right below Grand Budapest and Moonrise, which
that's where I have it mentally.
Which I do think. Let's see, 925 would bump it down to a 942, which is still just right below Moonrise and Grand Budapest, but a little bit closer to French Dispatch, which is at a 9 overall, and then 925 for 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙍𝙏. So is it a little closer to 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙀𝙍 and French Dispatch, or to French? Or
my gut after first watch is closer to French Dispatch and 𝘼𝙎𝙏𝙀. I think that with rewatches, it will grow to be Moonrise Grand Budapest level.
I think it's fair. Like you shouldn't need that rewatch, to make a movie good. And I think it doesn't.
It doesn't make it good. It just enhances it.
Yeah. So I think 925.
I'm cool with that
here. For it, which a 942. That's
that's quite kind.
I really enjoy this. I knew I was going into it. It was just the first Wes movie I've seen in theaters, which was going to, no matter what was on screen, it could have been the biggest steaming pile of shit, and I still would have been like, I don't care. I loved it. I saw it in theaters. We've been waiting for this, but no, it wasn't that. It was the complete opposite of a steaming pile of shit. It was amazing, and I loved everything about it.
We are far kinder than both IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes. IMDb at a 7.1 out of 10. Asteroid City on Rotten Tomatoes at a 76 critically, 61 audience score. A little bit, probably the most polarizing film he's had. Let's check out the Letterboxd here. Asteroid City coming in at a 3.7 out of 5. So, 7.4, falling in line with about what IMDb and Rotten Tomatoes has given it. Of note, I follow Jared Gilman, the star of Moonrise Kingdom, on Letterboxd. He gave this film a 5 out of 5. So that's the only opinion that matters.
Yeah, he knows what's up.
Yeah, he does. But man, I can't believe it's done. Can't believe we finished Wes Anderson. I'm sad.
Know.
I wish I had more Wes Anderson to watch, but I'm officially out of Wes Anderson to watch.
We'll get there eventually again.
Eventually, we'll have more. The day will come, and I cannot wait for that day.
Yeah, now we can just add to it.
Just keep talking about it.
This was just a blast.
Dude, favorite project we've done so far with ease for me.
Oh yeah,
taking about 5.5 weeks just talking all Wes Anderson. That's fucking electric, and we're gonna continue our director spotlight next week as we hotly anticipate Oppenheimer, directed by Christopher Nolan. We got The Prestige next week. We got Dunkirk the week after that, and then Tenet the week after that, and then we're talking Oppenheimer. So we got 3 movies in anticipation of Oppenheimer, nowhere near the 10 that we did for Wes Anderson, but we've already talked a lot of Christopher Nolan. We talked Interstellar and Inception in our 52-year journey through film. We plan on talking Batman Begins, The Dark Knight, and The Dark Knight Rises for our comic book movie project. We weren't left with many options, so we had to go ahead and limit it down. Maybe one day, whenever there's another Christopher Nolan movie coming out, we talk Memento, and maybe we revisit Inception and Interstellar a few years removed instead of 1 year removed. It might be a little bit more space between that coverage, but nah, man, I'm so excited for that. I'm looking forward to everything that comes with, and I'm just ecstatic. I'm very excited for this project, and I'm so happy that we've completed this part. We've done the Wes Anderson, and that's so fulfilling, man. But with that, if you would, head to patreon.com/PennyBloomPod, where you'll find over 50 hours of exclusive content, including all sorts of book reviews, comic book reviews, movie reviews, and the like. For $1.50, you can get all written reviews by me, which is a lot of fun. I love me some writing. Head to the $3 tier if you want the audio content and fictional works, which I'm very excited about. Next week, July 1st, I'm putting out a little short story I'm very, very happy with, and I'm very excited to share. And that'll be over there for $3 a month. You can support this podcast financially, which is huge because it costs me money. And I don't make any off of it unless it's over there. Head to Twitter, follow at PennyBloomPod, follow on Instagram at PennyBloomPodcast. Remember to leave a 5-star rate and review wherever it is you might be listening. And to, if you were just joining us for the first time for the Wes Anderson show, because Asteroid City just came out and you're excited, you want to listen to it, can't recommend enough revisiting his entire filmography and maybe listening to us talk about it. It was so fun. It was so fulfilling, and we had so much fun doing it. But Christopher Nolan is next, baby. We're doing The Prestige next week, and I can't wait for that. We're doing a Game of Thrones rewatch right now. Season 4, Episode 4 was earlier this week. Season 4, Episode 5 is next. We are picking up our comic book journey through film once again this Friday. We are continuing it with the pile of dog shit that is Catwoman. Ironically enough, pile of dog shit. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's a fun episode, even if you do not have to watch the movie to listen to that one.
Maybe I'd recommend to not, actually.
Yeah, I think you might. Well,
no, you need to know the bad. We learned from Wes.
Yes, the good and the bad need to coexist.
Be aware. Yeah.
Yes.
So maybe actually do watch it.
Do watch that. But remember, I was Colton Robertson, and I was joined by Joseph George. Thank you very much, homie.
Oh, thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure to be here.
Oh, and it's always a pleasure to have you. And peace, love, and bloom. And you can't wake up if you don't go to sleep.